Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Some interesting Scrimbux being leaked last night with Evil Geniuses playing a scrim set against NRG. Interesting grudge match in a way because NRG, Ethan and Demon 1, two players that were previously on Evil Geniuses, they left the team to go and join NRG, what they of course believe are brighter pastures and for a better future. EG though forming their new roster. Very interesting roster indeed it seems, with Nature potentially coming in. A couple of the guys formerly of the Rise Nation team we'll look at. But in terms of the scrim match that we saw yesterday, actually Evil Geniuses up in round counts, potentially even getting the victory against NRG, which is very interesting given the theoretical strength of those respective teams, especially with what Demon 1 had to say shortly after he joined NRG in the first place. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Just one final update for now, at least on the 6 situation, because I missed this tweet yesterday, so I did want to mention it for you guys, saying that he's, sorry for hurting anyone's feelings during the manic episode that he had. Hope that I can prove to you guys that wasn't me, and I would never say those things. Of course, that was, what was happening back in, June, July last season. It took me a long time to forgive myself for that. So it seems like, hopefully, Sick and Hunter is back to the Sick that we knew previously. And he says that, look, he won't have his phone for a while. He's taking care of things. And look, hopefully in a few months' time, we'll have a good update on the Sick side again. Because, yeah, definitely a scary time yesterday. And thankfully, that's all been resolved. Now, there was a bit of drama as well going down. At least, well, Saadhak had a few words to say on the rankings of Loud from, I guess, North American players or from North American perception, because of course he's continuing on with the team going forwards. Again, Loud as an organization, they've been an interesting spot. Aspas is gone. There's questions as to whether Loud will be as good. And to be honest, I think the primary reason why there's discussions on Loud not being as good as last season and potentially the season before is just because, they've lost some of their good players. I think it's understandable that after Sassy and Pancada were gone, after they won the World Championship, there were questions how good they would still be. Would they be as good? They were still very good, but they weren't quite as good, especially on an international level. And now this season, Aspas is gone. So I think it's understandable that there's a general feeling that, well, are Loud going to be as good? Quite possibly not. But look, at the same time, Saadhak does believe that there's basically they get underestimated to some degree by North American players just because they are, Brazilian players or players from South America don't maybe get the credit they deserve elsewhere. And I definitely think there can be an element of truth to this. I see it definitely in other esports. Like, guys know I follow the Call of Duty stuff very closely. It was always a thing with European players never getting maybe the respect they deserve from North American counterparts. So maybe there's the same story here. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the players or the teams think. What matters is delivering the results, right? So we'll see if Loud can do that this season. Maybe one such example of that was this, right? When Demon 1 was ranking the teams and he put EG the worst. And we'll get onto that in a second just because, NRG, his theoretical number 1, and EG, his theoretical number 10. Now, we also still mentioned that they forgot Cloud9 here. So Cloud9, they've got to find them somewhere. But, he put Loud 5th here. So you had NRG, Sen, Leviathan, G2, then Loud. So, just above Furia. And maybe Cloud9 would be middle of the pack here. But, seemingly Saadhak's opinion might be that putting Loud 5th after, they won the Americas region last year in region. And sure, maybe their team isn't quite as strong now. But maybe he thinks that putting Lev above them, putting G2 above them, putting NRG above them is somewhat disrespectful. But, at the end of the day, it doesn't massively matter because, well, someone has got to lift the trophy anyway. And it's only going to be you if you deliver the goods. So it's interesting stuff. Will never be enough for North Americans, he says. And Loud did still do very well last season, of course, making the result they did at the Champions tournament, despite the fact that people didn't expect them to be that good at Champions because there was all the potential friction behind the scenes with Aspas and stuff. They still did very well. So we'll see if Saadhak can lead the team to more success because Loud are still going to be a force to be reckoned with. But, without Aspas, there's a question as to how much that's going to be the case. Just to mention for you guys as well, this is from Ludwig's stream. Now, I won't share the audio, but you guys can actually just read here quickly the captions where he mentions, or you just lip read him, where he mentions the Ludwig Tarik Invitational. The captions don't really know how to translate this, but you see what I mean. But he says that the next version of the Ludwig Tarik Invitational is happening next weekend. He says, I know I haven't announced it yet, been waiting on a couple of teams to solidify it. And I do wonder which teams are going to compete in this, because this was last year's one, January the 14th through to the 16th. So as he says, next week, this year would be the same amount of time. It was in LA. They had the Guard, TSM, Sen, and T1 go and play on it. And we had, just a quick little bracket, a show match on the final day, and a main event, which of course the Guard eventually won. Now, I'm guessing in this tournament, it's more than likely going to be Ludwig's own, moist Shopify team is going to come along to this. Maybe they're going to try and get Sen as well. But I guess you also got to wonder, which teams would fly out to play in this. And also there's certain teams, sure, sure if it's going to be based in LA or whatever they're going to do. Certain teams, do they want to reveal strats or anything, right? Like, sure, it's only a bit of fun, and they're going to do it next weekend. Of course, look, Tarik's involved. I'm sure that Sentinels will be there, and I'm sure that Moist Shopify are going to be there, because that's Ludwig's thing. I'm guessing that's the plan, and, you know, they did that tournament not that long ago as well last season, but now the season is just about to begin. A team's going to come in and take it 100% serious. I don't know, maybe not, but, yeah, just an update for you guys on that one. But speaking of Sentinels, they've, of course, been getting back into scrims over the last couple of days. I think even Zels has said that now they're officially getting back into it. Last day before practice, he says. So not exactly sure why they took a bit of time off. Maybe Tens was ill again. I don't know. There was also a clip floating around where Zels has said, oh, like, I'm no longer on the starting team, I'm on the bench. I'm 99.9% convinced that he's trolling there. I think that it sounded like he was trolling to me, and also I just don't really see a world in which they're putting Pancada in now after what they achieved at the Africa TV tournament. Am I starting or not, he says, etc, etc. So we haven't seen any Sentinel scrims lately, but we haven't really needed to, because we know how good they can be, or maybe just how good they are after what they did at the Africa TV tournaments. They've seemingly taken a bit of a break. But other teams, especially ones that are either just being formed or have just formed in the very recent past, are doing a lot of practice over the last few days. And this here from No Shadow. So as he says, I'm no James of F, so he doesn't necessarily have the intel on the scrim results, but he's been watching enough streams to find all these screenshots. So great work here from No Shadow, and he puts together his list of well, what the results were at the time that he saw the screenshots. Now, we will talk about this EG roster. I guess we'll do it first of all, because we've heard lots of rumors on what EG are doing over the last couple of weeks, really, what their roster's going to be. It's still remarkable, really, that most teams have had their roster set for months, and EG, like, they're only doing it now, really. They've only lost players last minute. This pretty much confirms as well that Com to Lev is a thing. Obviously, it confirms that boosted 100T is a thing. We don't need confirmation that Ethan and Demon 1 are going to NRG anymore, because we have that confirmation. So that leaves just Jorgamo with, of course, Potter as the coach. But they're going to get Nature, right? He was briefly on 100T when they were trying to find someone for Booster in the short term. He then left. He did a pretty decent job, but not a good enough job to stay. Nature maybe to EG now. Apoth as well, one of the, you know, top scouted talents potentially, and then a very interesting duo with Superman and Derek. So you know, we know these guys had their time, of course, on that Rise Nation roster back in the day, and you know, they did pretty well together. I really enjoyed watching that team, and Derek, of course, on 100T for the last couple of years hasn't been spectacular, really. No doubt in my mind that he needs a bit of a bounce back year, but nonetheless still a talented player, Derek Overwatch as some people call him. But yeah, this is the team. Potter, of course, coach, Jorgamo, Nature, Apoth, Superman and Derek. So that's the team they're currently trialing with. Does that mean that's their final iteration of their roster? No, because we've seen loads of trials. You know, let's not forget we had the likes of, you know, Shazam potentially was trialing there as the IGL AWPer. We then had rumours about Baby J, which have seemingly now fallen through, but it doesn't mean that that's not just a trial. But seemingly these scrims were going quite well, especially this one we'll see between NRG and Evil Genius in just a second. That is this one, of course, when NRG, the new team, Victor Crashies, Marv, Demon 1, Ethan, were playing the new EG. So fascinating, really, that, look, it's expected, but we know that NRG, Demon 1, Ethan, these guys, you know, they don't exactly hate the players on EG or anything like that, or, you know, I'm sure they still want Jorgamo to do well and still want Potter to do well, but nonetheless, playing against their old organisation, pretty spicy, and it's just a scrim, but this one was 11-7 in favour of EG. So, to be fair, the matches we've seen over the last couple of days, the scrims that we have seen NRG play, they've not been dominating, right? Not in the same way, for example, that, let's say, well, Sentinels, and we saw rumours of them first practicing together earlier last year, they were frying everyone in scrims. Even Paper X was saying that they were getting cooked by Sentinels in scrims, and that was very impressive. Not seeing the same for NRG so far, but obviously you've got to understand that it's a very different environment in practice, and NRG, I can't imagine, are going in thinking, oh yeah, we've got to smash these guys 24-0 because they play all 24 rounds, even if they get to 13, as we just saw there with EG, because they were beating NRG 11-7. They then played Moist Shopify, and they were down 16-7 in this one, and we can also see in this one that NRG played them as well, and they were down 8-5. So definitely that Moisturify team looking very good at the moment. But yeah, NRG, okay, they were 11-10 up here against this series against 100T, in the scrim against 100T, but still, it's kind of a mixed bag so far. Scrims are very different to real matches, and what Ethan and Chet want to get out of the scrims might be different to what Sentinels did, because, you know, NRG, they know they're a roster, so they can focus on improvements more so than winning rounds. Whereas when Sentinels, the rumours with John QT were coming around that they were frying in scrims, that was John QT trying to get his spot locked down on the team, right? So there's a slight difference. If you're trialing with a team, trying to get signs, your intention is pretty much to win the scrim. Whereas once you've got a team locked in, the intention is to learn and to improve and to understand rather than necessarily to win so many rounds. But it's still important nonetheless. This just to clarify is the Moisturify team, by the way, as well, because they've been looking good for some time now. And this is a team that apparently is mixing it up quite well with many pro teams. Just one quick comment here from FNS on these types of discussions, talking about his own offers, because I don't think FNS has really mentioned this before, that yes, himself and probably Som did get some reasonable offers. Not offers, though, that he wanted to go for, and maybe we're talking challengers offers here. He doesn't want to go into detail, want to keep some things private for, you know, for his own benefit, but also for the benefit of those organizations. You know, it's kind of a good thing to do to the organizations not to leak their interest, because, you know, it keeps them on side, which might potentially be beneficial long term as well.
When are you going to join a team?
I have no idea, man. Mid-season, maybe? If I do.
Did you guys have offers for this season?
Yeah, but I can't talk about any of it. I'm on stream.
Deficit of IGLs, you know what I mean?
Facts. No, I actually think a lot of some, like, Sentinels picking up John QD is a good decision. We'll see how Ethan does with, like, everyone else. I think everyone's looking good on paper, but that's how it is every year. Everyone just looks good on paper. And then you just...
Yeah, paper doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Just to close out with this, and we'll mind a couple of days old now, but I don't think I mentioned it. I might have mentioned it, but I'm not sure that I did. We know that Icebox is returning to the pool. So, well, these are the numbers on most kills per 24 rounds on Icebox, minimum 100 rounds, and it's kind of fascinating that Durka, so this is kills per 24. There's only 2 players in the entire world that have played 100 rounds on Icebox that have, well, equal to more than that, 1 kill per round or plus. CNET is at 1 kill per round. Durka is quite substantially above 1 kill per round, which is just so far ahead of everybody else. But with the new changes, is that going to stay the same? So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.